First, I want to offer my obeisances. Last night, I forgot how to give class because I haven't given class in like a month. So last night, I didn't do my normal. First and foremost, I'd like to offer my obeisances unto Sri Guru, both Shiksha and Diksha, who have been helping me tremendously in this world. And the only reason I have anything to offer is by the mercy that they've bestowed upon me. And the only way that any of us will have anything to offer is actually by the mercy of our teachers, especially in the realm of spiritual knowledge. Spiritual knowledge will not come any other way by getting the mercy of a spiritually potent personality. So, I want to offer them my obeisances. I want to offer the obeisances to the entire Gaudiya Guru Varga, our entire Guru Parampara, which is the connecting link of sages and saints, all the way up from the Supreme Lord, and then the sages and saints disseminate the pure message down to us, and if it ever gets broken, like in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord will come again and He will reestablish. So we are coming from the line of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which was 550 years ago. It got reestablished when the Lord Himself has come, and so we're sharing this knowledge coming from this line. And last, I want to offer my obeisances unto all of the Vaishnavas, past, present, and future, which actually means everybody. All living entities are spirit souls and servants of Krishna, but most in this world don't know it yet, so don't worry, they'll come in sometime. But you guys especially, who are here with us, Vanchakalpa Turbish Chakrapasandabhya Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Alright, so we've been gone for like a month. And traveling is quite difficult, but it's so nice to be back here, and I'm so happy because my home is a temple, and you just come here and immediately I can just get up early again. Immediately, we can sit chanting, singing to the deities. The atmosphere here is so nice actually. So I'm really grateful to be in this place. And very grateful to call this my home, and I want to thank you guys so much for upkeeping this holy standard here, because without you guys keeping up, it wouldn't be so easy for me to just fall back into this nice atmosphere that's generated here. So we are reading Srimad Bhagavatam. We have what is this? This is text 10. So maybe we got to text 10? So I think so. But you know what? We're going to recap. We're going to just read the whole from text 1 over. We'll just do the English, just so we remember where we are. Like this. So, the Srimad Bhagavatam is actually happening now. Shukadeva Goswami has entered the scene. And he said, Shukadeva Goswami said, "My dear king," now remember, what are the questions? Does anyone remember what are the questions that Maharaj Parakit? What's that?
What should people do generally, and especially who is dying?
Yes, what is the activities for all persons in all places in all times, and especially what is that for one who is about to die? So in the Shukadeva Goswami, this is actually a very prominent question because everyone wants to know, what should I do? I wake up to morning, what should I do today? That's what we ask ourselves. What should I do? So actually, Shukadeva Goswami is giving the answer for all persons, all places, and all times. So, he says, "My dear king, your question is glorious because it is very beneficial to all kinds of people. The answer to this question is the prime subject matter for hearing, and it is approved by all transcendentalists." So we should understand that also higher knowledge is only going to come to one who is actually open to receiving the answer. He asked an amazing question: what is my duty for all places, for all persons, all places, and all times, and what should one do when they're about to die? And he's saying, the answer to this question, this is the prime subject matter for hearing. So it takes a sincere person to want to put their material desires aside and to ask, what is the actual duty of life? What is the actual meaning of life? Because most of us, if we meet somebody who's empowered, let's just say we meet a guru and he's incredible and he's empowered, but because we're not so sincere, we're like, oh, Guruji, how can I get $1 million? And so this is our prime focus. So he might even tell you, he might know how you could get $1 million. Oh, it says in the Bhagavatam, if you worship Lord Indra, you can get great wealth and things like that. And then that person will walk away, because I'm satisfied. I have my means of attaining my objective. But he's very pleased because this is actually beneficial to people. Making money is not beneficial to people. It's only a temporary band-aid in this world for a little comfort. But actually knowing what the duty for all persons at all times is, that is the very beneficial. So he says, the answer to this question is the prime subject matter for hearing, and it is approved by all transcendentalists. He says, those persons who are materially engrossed, being blind to the knowledge of ultimate truth, leave many subject matters for hearing in human society, O Emperor. So he's just kind of pointing out that what I was just kind of saying, that people who are materially engrossed, they want to hear about so many things that are not so beneficial. He says, the lifetime of such an envious householder. And why are people, actually, this should be known, why are people materially engrossed? Why do people have material desires? David, put this underneath because it scratches the floor. Actually, the real root is actually envy. We were at the retreat and Prem Prayojan had a really amazing class on the offenses to the holy names. And he tied it into the offenses to the holy names are actually just that, these mentalities in which it becomes apparent that we're envious of the Lord. These are why we make the offenses to the holy name. So why? What's the envy? What do people want? Why is it envious of the Lord? What? Yes, we want to actually, enjoy, control, exploit. That's what we want. That's what everyone wants in this material world. I want this for my enjoyment. I want this food for my enjoyment. I want this wealth for my enjoyment. I want this sexual partner for my enjoyment, and so on. And so this is actually due to a deep-seated envy, actually. So Shukadev Goswami, he sniffs this out, and he says, the lifetime of such an envious householder is passed at night either in sleeping or in sex indulgence, and in the daytime either in making money or maintaining family members. So this is what the nature of what envious people do, which is very scary because, oh my God, that's what me and most of the world, we do. At night I'm sleeping, and then most people, they sleep at night. But actually, transcendental personalities, they don't take so much time sleeping, actually. Sleep is a symptom of ignorance, actually. Deep, long, lots of sleep, and the need for a lot of sleep. It's actually a symptom of ignorance in this world. And so, sleeping and in sex indulgence and in the daytime, and either making money or maintaining family members. This is what most people spend their entire time doing. But what's the problem is actually because they're totally in illusion, because they are they're actually envious of God and don't realize that the point of life is actually to serve God. Okay. Alright. See. Just see. He wants to enjoy. His enjoyment is checked, and now he's upset. So this is the symptom. So persons devoid of Atma Tattva do not inquire into the problems of life. Being too attached to the fallible soldiers, like the body, children, and wife. Although sufficiently experienced, they still do not see their inevitable destruction. So persons who don't understand what is tattva again? We talked about it last night. Truth, but yes, but it's described. It's like the thatness, the reality. The reality. So if persons who are without the reality of the soul don't understand the reality of the soul, they don't inquire into the problems of life because they're too blind to just, instead of realizing, oh, I'm something more than this body, they're just too enamored with the body. Why? They're too attached to the fallible soldiers, like the body, children, and wife. People, very much engrossed in family, engrossed in their partner, engrossed in the children. And then what's right, the activities of making money, maintaining family members, sleeping, and sex. These are people who are devoid of Atma Tattva. They don't actually know who they really are, or anyone really is. So although they're sufficiently experienced, they still do not see their inevitable destruction. What does that mean? How are we sufficiently experienced? Who here has had great-grandparents? Yes, everyone actually in existence. So what happens to your great-grandparents? They pass away. And then what happens to your grandparents? They pass away. And then your parents. And then you. And then your children, and so on. It goes like this. We're sufficiently experienced. We watch everyone and everything disappear and die. And yet we don't, have this higher vision. And we get so caught up in the fallible soldiers, or like the temporary arrangements of this material world. But it's all just subject to die. So he says, O descendant of King Bharata, one who desires to be free from all miseries must hear about, glorify, and remember the personality of Godhead, who is the Supersoul, the controller and savior from all miseries. So this is actually what needs to be done in life. Why? Because this world is one of suffering, and you cannot avoid it. Birth, death, disease, old age, and all kinds of different miseries are coming here. And one who doesn't understand why it's like this and who's arranged this, they'll just think, you'll eventually get cynical. Like, oh, life sucks. Anyone who's a little intelligent will realize that life sucks. But if they get even more intelligent, they'll realize that, oh, this actually has a purpose. This material world has a purpose. And what's the purpose? It's designed by a designer. We were talking about this last night, but if you break apart all the parts of things, there has to be a fundamental part. If you you trace back all of the movers of the living entities in this material world. Your parents have put you into existence. Their parents have put them into existence. Their parents have put them into existence, and so on. What is it you have to find at the end? There has to be an independent parent. There has to be an independent parent. It can't go on infinitely. What was the source of the initial parent? There has to be an initial parent. So, ultimately, all reasoning actually points out there must be a desiring, and there must be a personality behind existence, a designer. That's why actually even our modern scientists, they're not doing a great job. But, yes, they're not. But there are some scientists who've reached the conclusion of intelligent design. It must be. And there's no other plausible explanation. How can matter move without the animator? There has to be an animating force. There has to be an animating... actually, when you really look into all the reasoning, it has to be a person, a personality. How could consciousness and personality arise from no personality? There's no evidence of this, ever, anywhere. That's why Prabhupada wrote the book, what? Life comes from life. That's how life comes. That's how personality comes. Look, even this ant has a personality. He's deciding, I want to go left. No, I want to go right. And things, he's making decisions. It's not all dead matter. Even though dead matter is here in this world, but dead matter never comes together and just has consciousness. It's not seen anywhere. Why? There must be a source of consciousness. So what's that source? He's the super soul. He's the source of your consciousness in all living beings. And he's the controller and the savior from all miseries. So this is actually some nice descriptions. We must hear about, glorify, and remember the personality of Godhead. And who is the super soul? Who's the original, the soul of everyone's soul, the one that's directing, giving the experience of existence. And he's the controller. He controls all of this, and he's the savior from miseries. So if you know that, you say, okay, I'm going to approach this personality. The highest perfection of human life, achieved either by complete knowledge of matter and spirit, this is called Sankhya, by practice of mystic powers, this is called Yoga, or by perfect discharge of occupational duty, this is called Dharma, is to remember the personality of Godhead at the end of life. So this is why Bhakti Yoga is the number one. You have Karma Yoga, like it's like perfect Dharma. You have Sankhya Yoga, which is perfect distinguishment between what is matter and what is spirit, what's actually going on in this world, Jnana. And then you have Ashtanga Yoga, or the practice of meditative mystic yoga. But even no matter what path you're on, and everyone's on one of those paths to some degree, the perfection is to remember the personality of God at the end of life. And this is done in Bhakti Yoga. So this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to, no matter where you are in your understanding of reality, the tattva, to remember the personality of Godhead is its perfection, no matter what you're doing. And most of us are actually like karma yogis. Most of us are practicing worldly dharma and karmas. Some of us might, also here we're sitting in Bhagavatam, some of us might be delving into the knowledge of matter and spirit. And some of us might even have a meditative or a mystic practice in our life. But no matter what you've done and what you're doing, to remember the personality of Godhead is the highest perfection. So this is what Shukadeva Goswami is saying. He says, O King Parikshit, mainly the topmost transcendentalists who are above the regulative principles and restrictions take pleasure in describing the glories of the Lord. So the topmost personalities who are above all of the regulations of the scriptures, what do they like to do? They like to describe the glories of the Lord. Why? Because this is the highest activity in life. And in that alone, it actually is the Lord. The Lord, Prem Prajan Prabhu, at the festival, he was saying that the Lord has two forms. He has his own personal form, but then he also has Shabda Brahm, the transcendental sound from which he's described, and it's non-different. The holy name and the Lord are not non-different. The Lord's name, form, pastimes, all these things are non-different. This is the reality of the Lord, the absolute nature of the Lord. He's non-different. That's why Jesus said, Our Father, and hallowed be thy name, and so on. Everyone's glorifying the name of the Lord. But he's also present in his, anytime anyone even speaks of him, he becomes present. Especially those who are deeply connected to him and are transferring his spiritual sound. So, this is what they do. They describe the Lord. He's saying at the end of Dwapar Yuga, I studied this great supplement of Vedic literature named Srimad Bhagavatam, which is equal to all the Vedas, from my father, Srila Dvaipayan Vyas. So, that's how he got it from Vyasadeva, who received it from the inspiration from Narada, and Narada is receiving his inspiration from Narayan, and so on. Yes?
I want to understand the timeline of Bhagavatam. So here Shukadeva Goswami is saying that first he learned from his father Vyasadeva.
Yes.
And then he described later to Maharaj Parikshit.
Yes.
And Vyasadeva wrote Bhagavatam after his interaction.
No writing. No need for writing. They recite. Writing is like a Kali Yuga thing for those with dull consciousness. What?
He compiled all the
These are like English translations, but compiling, like you can mentally compile something, so or you can even in the consciousness compile. But he didn't like make a book, and then like this, and then present the book. It was all oral, or all orally recited.
But isn't it Vedavyas compiled and wrote, along with his students, wrote all the Vedic literature, and then Narada Muni came and everything happened. And then
So Vedavyas was reciting, like even and his disciples may also they may write it down, but he like for instance he recited the whole Mahabharata, but Ganesh was actually the writer and transcriber. So, but mainly this knowledge is transferred through Shabda Brahm. So it's not as effective in writing actually. That's why Amnaya or the Vedic. So that's why the Vedas, in order to be properly received, are through the disciplic succession of Guru and Parampara, because it's the transference of Shabda Brahm. Now Prabhupada, because we're so dull, there's no way we'd even be able to recognize or appreciate a transcendental guru who can share these things. So Prabhupada made it very, and also not just Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta, they made it very prominent that Gaurkishore Das Babaji, he couldn't even read or write. It wasn't necessary. But he made it very prominent that books be presented so that the people of this age can have some introduction to it and maybe actually be able to appreciate and take this knowledge prominently from a live source, because that's how this knowledge is compiled. But you're saying you want to know the timeline of the Bhagavatam. So the Bhagavatam is eternal. This will be mentioned later. But this knowledge is given, it's eternally given. So that's the one understanding of Amnaya. This is divine and has no origin. It's coming from the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself. So what happens is in different spans of creation, the Lord will realize that this knowledge is not understood by maybe anyone or the mass of people. So in the beginning of creation, He reveals it to Brahma. And then Brahma reveals to Nard and his sons and so on. But this is eternal. This is before all of the millions of creations. This knowledge is understood. Now, in each separate creation, this knowledge of Bhagavatam may have some nuances. Where, okay, in this universal creation, the Lord appears like this, and this. So this is the Bhagavatam for our universe, at our time and place, and so on. So you could say that is presented by... first, at the end of Dwapar Yuga, he's saying, Narada came to Vyas, he was unsatisfied after Mahabharata and all the other things. You remember this in the first canto. And Narada told him, well, you never fully presented the highest teaching, which is bhakti. You've given people all kinds of different conclusions in the Vedas, but you never presented the highest summum bonum for all persons, all places, all times. So you should compile a scripture, but not writing, like a poem. You should compile a poem, what are they called? Shlokas on the highest thing. So that's what the Srimad Bhagavatam is. And then Shukadeva Goswami, he learned that soon after, and then Shuka is like a parrot, and when a parrot touches a mango, its pecking actually makes the mango sweeter. It's like, you could say, sometimes there are things that, cooperate in, they cooperate nice in nature. So parrots cooperate nice with mangoes. So similarly, Shukadeva Goswami, the son of Vyasa, in his transcendental realization, and reason is he's actually a transcendental personality from Braj, which Vyasa is not actually. So he is able to really churn out the juice of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So this all happened about 5,500 years ago, and maybe some little difference of years, but yes, but go on.
And the written form that we have right now is also compiled by Vedas.
No, he has no necessity to write. He gives to disciples, and then the disciples,
He in the sense like his disciples and everyone. So this written form of Bhagavatam was compiled after Shukadeva Goswami's narration to Parikshit.
Yes, much after even. Sometimes it could even be thousands of years after. Because you have to understand that people in previous ages, they remembered, even probably if you look 100 years back, your ancestors probably, they can remember, so many shlokas of the Gita or so many shlokas of the Mahabharata, and they could recite all these things. But now who can do? It's very difficult, right? Why? Because the Kali Yuga is progressing, and the intelligence is getting dulled, the vegetation is getting worse, the nourishment is getting worse, the bodies are getting smaller and less healthy, and so on. Everything's becoming more and more contaminated, so the ability of man is less. So now writing is necessary and very prominent. Like even for me, a breakthrough I've had recently in remembering verses is I was told you should write the verses. Why? Because it's like re-reciting them. Why? Because my consciousness is too dull. I can't just hear it and, I'll take that in, compartmentalize and put it all there. Now we need the writing. Writing is for the, those who are... like us. We're not, our intellect is not so sharp. But it's a, yes. So, but what is if you want to know the timeline, it's eternal. If you want to know the timeline where it entered this material universe, it's the very thing that was given to Lord Brahma so that he had knowledge on how to create. Because he can't create without the original Shabda Brahm, which is the origin of the Bhagavatam. And then, this will all be mentioned in this canto. But then, when did it come to us? At the end of Dwapara Yuga, actually said in this verse. This, you could say, version of the Bhagavatam. Because the Bhagavatam is actually in 4 shlokas. The all essence of the Bhagavatam is in the 4 shlokas. It'll be at the end of this canto, the Chatur Shloki Bhagavatam. And then from that, all of the whole Bhagavatam for this age is manifested and very relevant to us. So, but it's all just expansion of that.
And also one.
Yes, Tal.
So in different universes, like we have different case studies and stories in Bhagavatam,
Yes.
and those may differ, but the essence will remain the same. Right? Like in other words, the 10th canto where the ultimate Samabonam of Bhagavatam is described, that
Yes,
remains same, but the other parts of different incarnations, different stories.
No, even in different universes, the presentation you get even of the 10th canto, or you could say Krishna's pastimes, can also differ. They're unlimited, actually. Like, so, what you're going to get, this is the happenings in this universe. But it's unlimited, actually. The pastimes of the Bhagavatam are unlimited. But the essence is not the same, that there's a supreme person guiding this whole thing. Craig, Hare Krishna. The essence is the same. There's a supreme person guiding this whole thing. He has marvelous activities, and we have a wonderful relationship with him, and these are the things that he does. So we're just getting what he does in this universe. Now, it's described how Krishna's realm in Vrindavan, this is the highest thing. This is eternally a principle. So, welcome, Craig. I'm really happy to see you. But this is eternal, actually. But at the same time, there's nuances. Like even Sanatana Goswami, he describes pastimes of Krishna that you'll never find anywhere in any, but they're different kalpa pastimes, actually. Meaning they happen, they could even happen in this universe, but in a different cycle. So not only are there many universes, there's many cycles of creation, and then the Lord, he comes in every cycle. So, and his pastimes are infinite and infinitely variegated. So you cannot really say. As far as we know, all these pastimes happen. But even, for instance, in this Bhagavatam, the descriptions of Varaha are they're so that it's impossible for the Varaha described in the Bhagavatam to have happened in only one kalpa, meaning that what's described in the Bhagavatam is a compilation of pastimes of Varaha in one cycle of creation and in another cycle of creation, and so on. So it's if we just zoom out and realize how small we are, and realize how vast the Lord and his potentialities are, it's hard. It's not like a one-time occurrence. Bhagavatam is infinitely manifesting over and over again. It's infinite. There's billions and billions of universes. It's manifesting there as well. And then there's billions of ages in each universe. And it manifests over and over and over again. This is like for us, this is how we can catch hold. But it's eternal, and actually will never be completely realized. Why? Because we should understand knowledge could not be something that we fully attain. This is infinite, actually. And if it wasn't infinite, there wouldn't be something to do for eternity. So we have something to do forever. Krishna is ever fresh. What does that mean? Everything he do is more and more new at every second. So that means his pastimes are ever fresh, ever new. Everything is happening.
Variety, spicy,
yeah, and you have variety for eternity. Krishna has provided variety for eternity. So we're just doing a recap of the first, second canto, and then now Partha is asking some questions, Craig, if you wanted to know. But the main purpose of life is we should hear about the personality of Godhead and remember Him. Yes.
So is it also possible, like in some other universe, Krishna's appearing not to kill Kansa, instead to kill Ravan, some other demon?
Hard to say. Sure, possible, yes. Krishna, he can do whatever he likes. Whether he does just like that, I don't know. I can't say. But yeah, Krishna, it's very, very possible that any which way he wants to, it's all by his desire. Whatever Krishna wants, if he wants to come. But as far as I know, Krishna will come. These even Kamsa and the residents of Vrindavan, these are eternal, and he likes to come with these associates. So he it's something called rasabas, where he wouldn't mix rasas that have that are inappropriate. Ravan has the certain mentality where, because Krishna likes to perform human-like pastimes, and not so. Ravan's like a rakshasa and things like that. So it's not as human-like, because even Ravan is so big in comparison.
He's like 10 heads too.
Yeah, and like even in Treta Yuga, the people were so much bigger and things like that. So it's hard to say. How can I say? I don't know. But at the same time, yes, anything's possible. Actually, everything, in an infinite universe and infinite amounts of universes with an infinite God, then every scenario must be possible. And maybe scenario must even play out in some way, in some form, at some time. Yeah, it must. So yeah, maybe, yes. But go on.
So, since you mentioned that Lord Kishore Babaji Maharaj wasn't able to read and write, then how did he grasp all the knowledge? Was it just from listening, or?
Yes, because that's how knowledge is actually really taken in. That's what the whole point of yesterday, the whole Amnaya section. How do you actually understand Krishna? It's not by reading. It can't be grasped by reading. You can't even go and listen and take from the sadhu. You can't pick the pocket of a sadhu. It's given by mercy actually alone. And what all you can do is be submissive. Krishna tells us this in Bhagavad Gita. Pranipatena. What does that mean? To become submissive and humble before someone who has the knowledge, and then pariprashna, to ask them questions in that humble state, and then sevaya, to render them service. That's how knowledge is transferred. There's no other way, actually. You can't just, I got the Bhagavatam, so now I have the knowledge. No, because you have misconceptions of reality. So everything that you're taking in the Bhagavatam are your own perversions, actually. Yes, you might get some closer, but you're not going to get anything by just reading. It's actually by meeting one who has tattva darshana. They see the truth. They're experiencing the truth. They have the reality is within them, and they can transfer that reality to you. But it only works through submission. That's why we must surrender to a spiritual master. If we don't, we'll never understand reality, actually. We'll never understand, and we can't pick the pocket. I'll go listen to the sadhu, but I don't want to surrender. It doesn't work that way. Krishna tells exactly how it works. Pranipatina. Humble submission. And that's the only way it gets unlocked. So, does that answer your question? What exactly did you ask again?
Yeah, like how did he learn everything? Because it's a lot of knowledge to give, and like without reading.
Yes.
It
So,
must have been quite some challenge.
yeah, but actually though, to receive divine mercy is not a challenge. When you try to intellectually approach life, that's a challenge. It's very difficult. But when you surrender before a realized soul, and you ask them your questions, they're gonna unlock things for you. You're not the doer, actually. That we have to get out of this idea that we're the doer and that I'm cultivating knowledge. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, we're not the doer. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. No. All we can actually do is just beg for mercy. And then if we get in the position to beg for mercy, then they're the doer at that point. Krishna's the doer through his empowered acharya. And that Aparacharya understands they're not the doer, they're the vessel for Krishna, and they're giving the Shabda Brahm this way. Like even myself, when I chant Mangalacharana and all these things, really the internal mood is that I'm asking to just be a vessel for the Guru Parampara from which Krishna's Shabda Brahm is coming, and then I could receive it and share it, And actually I can only give you what I've received from others, But I have been in association of realized souls, and it's been impactful in my life. So I can share from which I receive from them, but no more actually. That's all I can share.
But how did he manage to get more revelation? Because you need to read in order to understand deeper. So all that he gained was through his guru. So whatever was revealed to the guru was told to the disciple. So how did he get to experience that revelation for himself?
So it had nothing to do with reading. He didn't have to do prerequisite reading or anything like this. He had connection with his guru. Like in this instance, Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva came, he was meditating, and remember in the first canto, did you read first canto? So if you remember Vyasadeva, he was sitting on the Sarayu river, I believe. Was it Sarayu? No.
Sarayu.
Is it Sarayu? Was it? It might have been a different reading. Saraswati River, that's what it was. Yes, sorry. The Sarayu is in the Ram Leela. But he was sitting on the Saraswati River, and he was doing his bhajan, but he was feeling incomplete. And he had nothing in his power to make himself complete. We should know that. We have nothing in our own doing power to make everything complete. But by good fortune and due to his sincerity and lamentation, Narada realized the predicament of his disciple and appeared there and gave his mercy. And he actually, by giving him the instruction, it was all revealed to Vyasadeva. Why? Because Narada is a vessel of the Shabda Brahma of the Lord. Narada is that vessel, so he can give that. And Narada received from Brahma. And Brahma, he received through Krishna at the beginning of creation, via the flute song, which actually in that had all of Bhagavatam in there. So all of that is there, but it's all, the Lord is the prime mover. So the only way you get the mercy is you got to get in the link, the chain of succession. So now even today, now there's a huge scandal, you could say, in ISKCON where there's a whole branch that's breaking off and says Srila Prabhupada is the only bona fide Guru or Acharya, and this is called Ritvikism. But, they're completely cut off because, yes, Srila Prabhupada no doubt is a pure devotee, and then even on the same side, yes, these devotees who are doing these nonsense things can't be pure devotees doing these things. So I understand why you would realize, but where they're wrong is that there is a continuation. The Lord promises in Bhagavad Gita there's a continuation. Meaning there are bona fide gurus in this world, and if you just get in their association, that's how you'll get everything. That's how Amnaya comes. That's how real realization comes. It's not a study. The study will help, no doubt. It'll give you the context, so when the guru speaks, like even myself, because I've done so much study in comparison to most people, when Sri Guru speaks, I can take it and really receive it that much more because than maybe someone who hasn't studied, because there's a lot more context there, and I'm more familiar, and I can know more appropriate steps. But actually, it has nothing to do. If I didn't study at all, or if I was like Gaura Das Babaji, but I just had the mercy of a sadhu, constantly, daily, every day, I wouldn't even need to read unless he told me to read. I mean, our Goswamis, they wrote down all of the books and they wanted people to study these books.
Who was that pastime recently that was told that we're talking? It was like
Yeah, Shankaracharya.
Yeah.
I read something recently that said in one in Los Angeles actually in '74 that it says devotees may fall this that and other thing, but my books are forever.
Yeah, I mean, if you look, Prabhupada's books are incredible because they're actually, his his purity and ecstasies and realizations all coming out. But if you think that it can only, and I'll give you an example. Prabhupada said personally, Tamal Krishna is, you know Tamal Krishna probably. He was very prominent. So he said, Prabhupada, if your books have everything, then why do we need you? So Prabhupada, he went over, he twisted his ear, and he pulled his ear, and he's like, ah! And he's like, because my books can't do this if you go the wrong way. What's that mean? The books, if we rely only on our own understanding of the books, we will pervert the books, and we'll have some misconception actually. Now the books are perfect, but what do the books say? What do the books actually say? The books say you should surrender unto a spiritual master, and sadhu sangha, sarva shastra koi, lava matra sadhu sangha, sarva siddhi hoy. All is there. It's about association with pure devotees. That's what the books talk about. So if we read the books, we'll know, oh, yes, this is the conclusion. So, but the problem is we're not so well read on the books. But if we read the books, we'll understand what it is we have to do. What does Bhagavad Gita say? Tadvidi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanta tegyanam gyaninas tattvadarshana. How do you get knowledge? He doesn't say, reading books. He says pranipatena pariprashna and seva. That's how knowledge is revealed. So if we read the books, we'll know. But the problem is we are not reading the books, or we're only relying on our own understanding and our own vipralipsa or cheating propensity.
But for most of us, reading the books is how we started out.
Yeah, it's necessary. That's how I started out. And
That's why all the book distribution.
yeah, why Prabhupada wanted it to go everywhere for that exact reason, because it's not like people are interested in going to a spiritual master convention. It's not really something that, yeah. So the books are absolutely necessary, and they're absolutely perfect, but
They need illumination.
yeah, they need illumination. They're not complete on their own, actually. Because if we read what the books say, actually that's what happened to me. I read Prabhupada's books, and Prabhupada kept talking about these pure devotees. If you associate with pure devotees, and if you associate with pure devotees and pure devotees, I'm like, what's a pure devotee? I didn't even know what a pure devotee was. I didn't even know what a devotee was. And then I heard from someone at the health food store that they have a temple who follows these books. And I'm like, wow, there's a whole society of people. And then I learned about ISKCON. But I read the books and I didn't even know what a pure devotee, what is this type of personality, So, but when you meet them in person...
It's not also that you met all these pure devotees.
No, being a pure devotee is a really high thing. It's not a little thing. A pure devotee is a super high thing. Yeah, it's the best thing. But it's at the same time, this is what's necessary for us to ourselves become pure. We should strive to be pure, but we should understand how purity is going to come. It doesn't matter how much you study and intellectualize. It doesn't matter how much association. And in the Bhagavatam over and over again will reveal this. How does Prahlad get illuminated? How does Dhruv get illuminated? How do all these personalities? It's always by a great guru. It's always through sadhu sangha.
Based on the purports from a pure devotee like Prabhupada, there to help us understand.
Oh, 100%.
So we don't speculate.
Yeah. So why do we read the purports? Because if we just read the translations, I'd muddle so many things. But Prabhupada is giving very clear and concise instruction in the purports. But then, because we have the cheating propensity, I might read the purport, and this happens in ISKCON or the Gaudiya Vaishnava communities. He reads a purport that sounds like this, he reads a purport that sounds like this, and then they completely disagree on what it means. Why? Because the vipralipsa, so there's biases and cheating propensities. It's one of the errors of the living entities. In the books, it's telling, right? Right at the beginning of Ishopanishad. It says like this. What is that? Some famous literist, he said, both read the Bible day and night, but I see black and he sees white. So why? Because there's a muddling somewhere. There's a perversion. So unless it's illuminated by the saint, the sage, the sadhu, It'll be incomplete. Even we can, and we now replace the Bible with Prabhupada's purports. Both read Prabhupada's purports day and night, but he sees black and I see white. It's you see, so it's.
So in like ISKCON, there's gurus that are like super on this side, super.
Yeah,
on this
that's
side.
why it's like this. But really, what's needed is there has to be an acharya who's fully realized and has and as I delve deeper into this, I'm able to trace out the lineage of acharyas much easier after Prabhupada than when I once was. And I'm able to see, really pure connections that I wasn't able to see before. But through the study of the books and also by having the mercy of associating with sadhus, because what do sadhus want? They just want to come to places where people are interested in this stuff. Well, Shukadeva Goswami, he was so pleased. Oh, you're asking such nice questions that are beneficial for all people. So if communities of people do that, like here in Syracuse, if we gather and we regularly try to do this, guess who's coming? The sadhus. And that's why they've come, because the people gathered and were interested in these subject matters. But we have to understand how precious that association is. We should never think, all right, well, sadhu's here, there, but it's fine, I got the books, it's better. It's not even close. The books will tell you what the thing is. It's the sadhu. So.
Isn't our propensity to be, like, also when we read things, because I know this with a lot of Christian friends I've had, they'll pick this out of the Bible and follow that, but then they condemn that. It's like almost to convenience. I like this part, so I'm going to follow that.
Yes.
I don't like this part.
Yes, this is called vipralipsa, or the cheating propensity.
My wife, I used to argue that with her. I go, it's either, if it's bona fide, it's all true or it's not true.
Yeah.
You can't pick and choose out of it what you like and don't like.
Yes, yeah. I mean, so this is called the vipralipsa, or the cheating propensities. It's one of the conditioned defects of the living entities. Prabhupada talks about the 4 defects. This is called the cheating propensity. Because, whatever is convenient for our sense gratification, we want to follow that thing. And so, okay. Let's actually get caught up, and then let's end with kirtan. Ready? And maybe we can even read one verse. But he says, O saintly king, I was certainly situated perfectly in transcendence, yet I was still attracted by the delineation of the pastimes of the Lord, who is described by enlightened verses. This is important to know, because even if you reach a state of perfection where you're completely blissful, it's possible through meditation, still he was attracted by the delineation of the pastimes of the Lord. Hearing about the pastimes of the Lord, they're so attractive, they're so fresh, and they're so interesting that even a completely enlightened person, I want to know more about this. This is what happened to Shukadeva Goswami. He was in the forest, he was meditating, and Vyasadeva was like horrified that his perfect son he wanted to teach Bhagavatam to ran away. So he sent these hunters and he taught them verses of the, I think it might even been the Gopi Gita. And they were reciting the verses of, I'm trying to think what verse it was. Might have been Barha Pidam Natavara Vapukarnayo Kanikadam Viprad Visha Kanika Kapishang Vajayantin Shamalam Randran Venora Daram Sudaya Purayan Gopa Vrindaranyang Swapadaramanam Pravished Gita Kirti. This is describing what Krishna looks like. Varhapidam with his crown of peacock feathers. Natavara, appears like an excellent dancer. Actually, all of his body parts are like dancing in ecstasy. Vapu of his body. What is it? Varhapidam Natavara Vapu Karnayo Karnika. And he has the yellow canara flower in his ear. And it's describing these things. And even to a transcendental personality, when you hear the descriptions of the Lord, it becomes, whoa, that's very attractive. What are you doing? Okay. So, okay. So you can give class too soon. You'll have to learn about these. You'll have to hear these things first. But he's beginning. Maybe he has actually heard many in some lifetimes. So he's maybe come to teach many people in this world. I don't know. Apparently he'll be a very bold speaker. That's
He
what
heard a
his
lot
astrology
from
says.
movies and
Yeah, he did hear a good amount in
He's
the
hearing a lot.
womb. So he says that very Srimad Bhagavatam I shall recite before you because you are the most sincere devotee of Lord Krishna. One who gives full attention and respect to hearing Srimad Bhagavatam achieves unflinching faith in the Supreme Lord, the giver of salvation. Also, just notice what it says here. You guys can see, right? It's saying one who gives full attention and respect to reading Srimad Bhagavatam? Hearing. This is the important process. Achieves unflinching faith in the Supreme Lord, the giver of salvation. Now, reading is good because through the reading that I'm doing right now, I'm relaying the message, right? It's good, but it's not complete on its own. And even just hearing from what I have to say, I can only share with you things that I've heard from my spiritual teachers. But we should connect to the most qualified teachers in the world. That is the ideal of what we're trying to do here. Find the most qualified sadhus in the world and hear from them the conclusions of Bhagavatam.
Persian on Sunday was saying that bhakti is actually the process by which one develops love through hearing. The process of shravanam is bhakti. You're saying it's like non-different, and that's the way to. By seeing through the ears? So that means hearing.
Yes, I mean it's also the first. It's the first process of bhakti, shravanam. What is that sound? Is that you? Who is calling?
Some number.
No, it's okay. Just let it go. So let's read one verse and then be finished. Oh no, this is such a long purport. We can't do it. Let's read at least the Sanskrit and this in the translation. And then maybe we'll read the first paragraph. It'll be good. And then we'll begin tomorrow. Okay, ready? Etan nirvidyamananam ichatam akuto bayam yoginang nripanirnitang harer namanukirtanam etat. It is nirvidyamananam, of those who are completely free from all material desires. Ichatam, of those who are desirous of all sorts of material enjoyment. Akutabayam, free from all doubts and fear. Yoginam, of all who are self-satisfied. Nirpa, O king. Nirnitam, decided truth. Hare, of the Lord, Sri Krishna. Nam, holy name. Anu, after someone always. Kirtanam, chanting. Translation, O king, constant chanting of the holy name of the Lord after the ways of the great authorities is the doubtless and fearless way of success for all, including those who are free from all material desires, those who are desirous of all material enjoyment, and also those who are self-satisfied by dint of transcendental knowledge. This is a very famous verse, actually. This 2:110. So, Prabhupada quotes this in Bhagavad Gita in multiple places. So again, O king, constant chanting of the holy name of the Lord after the ways of the great authorities is the doubtless and fearless way of success for all, including those who are free from all material desires. Nice. Those who are desirous of all material enjoyment, and also those who are self-satisfied by dint of transcendental knowledge. So, whether you desire all material enjoyment, whether you're free from material desires, or whether you're completely self-satisfied due to transcendental knowledge, please stop letting him do that. So, it doesn't matter. The chanting of the holy names of the Lord, we should, what? Nama anukirtanam. Hare nama anukirtanam. So also anu means after someone, like following. So we should follow from the great authorities as well. We shouldn't just on our own, I'll chant like this, or I'll do. No, we should follow. This again, back to that same, the need for, he's not saying Hare Nama Kirtanam. He's saying Hare Nama Anukirtanam. So we should follow, the great authorities, like our Guru Parampara, or in the sadhus in our life. And by doing this. Now, even how is this Bhagavatam class, this setup? This is what Prabhupada did. That's why it's potent. This is exactly what Prabhupada did. He would read these books and describe these books, but he actually, this is what he did, and this is what his guru did. This is the bona fide way to do it. So we're trying to also follow. Let's read one paragraph, and we'll start again on Saturday. In the previous verse, the great necessity for attaining attachment to Mukunda has been accredited. There are different types of persons who desire to attain success in different varieties of pursuits. Generally, the persons are materialists who desire to enjoy the fullest extent of material gratification. Next to them are the transcendentalists who have attained perfect knowledge about the nature of material enjoyment and thus are aloof from such an illusory way of life. More or less, they are satisfied in themselves by self-realization. Above them are the devotees of the Lord, who neither aspire to enjoy the material world nor desire to get out of it. They are after the satisfaction of the Lord, Sri Krishna. In other words, the devotees of the Lord do not want anything on their personal account. If the Lord desires, the devotee can accept all sorts of material facilities, and if the Lord does not desire this, the devotees can leave aside all sorts of facilities, even up to the limit of salvation. Nor are they self-satisfied, because they want the satisfaction of the Lord only. In this verse, Sri Shukadeva Goswami recommends the transcendental chanting of the holy name of the Lord. By offenseless chanting and hearing of the holy name of the Lord, one becomes acquainted with the transcendental form of the Lord, and then with the attributes of the Lord, and then with the transcendental nature of his pastimes. So Prabhupada actually, this is really nice. He's actually talking about the progression of realization. Like first, by if we can, one, hear offenseless chanting and learn the offenseless chanting and start ourselves performing it, well, first, actually, the Lord will reveal his form to us. This is how you know it's working. The Lord will actually reveal his form to you. Even you'll be able to see it in the deity, you'll be able to see it in paintings, but you'll be able to actually feel and recognize the form of the Lord. Experience it. Then, oh my God. So then he said, then when with the attributes of the Lord, we'll actually recognize the Lord's qualities and we'll experience them as well. And then with the transcendental nature of his pastimes, then we'll actually experience his leelas. They'll all be manifest to one who reaches perfection in chanting. But first you have to reach perfection in hearing. Hearing and chanting, and then the Lord he'll gradually reveal himself to you in this way. So Prabhupada is also saying right here, and here it is mentioned that one should constantly chant the holy name of the Lord after hearing it from authorities. This means that hearing from the authorities is the first essential. We were just talking about this. Hearing from authorities is the first essential. Hearing of the holy name gradually promotes one to the stage about hearing about his form, about his attributes, his pastimes, and so on. And thus the necessity of the chanting of his glories develops successively. This process is recommended not only for the successful execution of devotional service, but also even for those who are materially attached. According to Sri Shukadeva Goswami, this way of attaining success is an established fact, concluded not only by him, but also by all other previous acharyas. Therefore, there is no need of further evidence. The process is recommended not only for the progressive students in different departments of ideological success, but also for those who are already successful in their achievement as fruitive workers, as philosophers, or as devotees of the Lord. So we'll stop here. But the process is not going to change. It's the same thing. We could read the books. It's going to tell us exactly what. The first essential is what? The prime essential, Prabhupada said. Yes, we must hear. We must hear also from authorities. I'm not going to cut it, actually. I'm an authority on only what has been revealed to me. You'll have to find like a really high-class sadhu who has become an authority, who has heard himself from authorities, has some connection to our lineage of sadhus here, a deep connection. So anyhow, this is the process. Good luck. We'll begin from this verse on Saturday. But we'll again, O King, constant chanting of the holy name of the Lord after the ways of the great authorities is the doubtless and fearless way of success for all, including those who are free from all material desires. those who are desirous of all material enjoyment, and those who are self-satisfied by dint of transcendental knowledge. So no matter where you are, this is the process. Don't miss out. We're doing it here. When you guys come for Bhagavatam, we're participating in this process. And now we'll open the deities and we'll chant the names of the Lord. And then we'll have prasad. Okay? Hare Krishna. Thank you guys so much. Parth, you can blow the conch and open them. Thank you who joined online as well.